used to be Northwest Arkansas's largest apple orchard. And then we had nurseries down towards Cane Hill, that one of the Arkansas's biggest nurseries. And so there's about 8-10 different breeds of apples that were made here.
Fantastic.
Apples, and we don't have any apple trees left. Nothing. The way the train came here to Lincoln. We used to have a train come up the hill and come into the middle of town, and we had a train depot in town. And they picked up our apples.
To haul the apples.
Yeah.
So what happened to all the apples?
Well, I grew up here, so it was open whenever we were here. The change in climate, you know, how we can have a frost all the way up until May. Well, apples bloom earlier than that because they weren't created to bloom later. Well, now you can manipulate trees and stuff like that where they can bloom later. Well, that's not how it was, and so as soon as you lose your blooms, you lose your apples. And pesticides. The government got involved. Yeah, they couldn't just use anything they wanted to on the apples, and so our quality of apple, because we are massive bugs here. I mean, we're hot, we're humid.
Yeah.
We're a breeding ground. That's what we are, and so the pesticides got harder. And it cost a lot more to buy the good pesticides, so it was hard on just small farmers and stuff like that. So we used to could set the fields on fire before they knew it was you're going to have become a frost, and so they would burn everything they could find, and the government got involved in that. You couldn't burn any, you don't burn your couch, and stuff like that. So it just became regulated. And
wow.
So no apples? Not an apple farm anymore?
None.
Oh, that's too bad.
We have an apple festival in town. That's what founded us was apples, and it just doesn't exist anymore. So, yeah, I didn't realize Michigan and areas like that did apples and cherries, and I just figured it was too cold. I figured Minnesota was too cold.
Well, I've got multiple apple trees in my yard too, and I just enjoy them.
Well, now you can raise them and manipulate them to where they bloom to where your temperature is. You can raise them in greenhouses or whatever and set your temperatures and make them bloom at certain times. Well, back in the day, they didn't know that or have those things. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. So
it is.
This building sat here empty for, I don't know, 20 years. It had probably business on and off, and then for the last 8 or 10 it was completely empty, and most of it was open air, so it had deteriorated a lot, so we did what we could to save it. We have mini splits in there. Things freeze inside the store during the winter. It just wasn't made. Whenever they enclose this front end, that's just a facade they put on it. So it used to have garage doors that went up, and so then they just took all those pretty glass and they just screwed that front on there. So you can see poles inside where that runs behind it, so there's absolutely no insulation or anything like that. We had poinsettias in there that froze inside the store with our heaters going full blast. Like I said, most of it was open air. So, but I wanted to, maintain its integrity. I wanted it to look just like it used to. So we didn't change a lot of that. Towards the back we did. Most of that was open. They used to make apple cider back there.
So this is your store?
Yeah, the press and everything is still back there, and the blancher is still on the back porch where they would have blanched them. But that all changed whenever they started having to pasteurize it. Before, you just made it, squish it, and took it straight to freezers.
Right.
All apple cider has a 10-day shelf life.
But I don't sell mine.
Yeah.
I give it away.
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah. They still did the same process. They still took it straight to a freezer because even pasteurized fresh apple cider is only apples, so it doesn't have anything else in it to preserve it in any type of way. So they sold it frozen out of freezers. We get it for the Apple Festival from Missouri. A guy up there makes it for us and sends it down. So we sell it one time a year here. So it's interesting.
Things continue to change.
Yeah.
Well, it was delightful speaking. I love the story. So what's your name again?
Deanna O'Brien.
Deanna O'Brien. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah. Will you guys be safe? Have fun. That's awesome. Yeah. I couldn't even think about riding that far. How often do you stop?
Well, we stop about 6 o'clock every night.
Yeah.
And then during the day we stop for fuel.
Yeah.
So when we need fuel, we stop.
You have to stop very often for fuel, because you should be able to go quite a ways.
Yeah.
A couple hours.
Yeah. Yeah, we ride the brands, and my husband and I have a trike and a gold wing.
Fun, yes.
Luxury, easy to ride.
Well, I had a gold wing for years. A couple of them. They're wonderful for
They
cross
are.
country.
They are.
Yeah.
We haven't rode cross country. We've took day trips and we spent the night somewhere and came back, but we've never rode that far. So, but yeah, I couldn't ride on the back of one of those very far.
They're all right. It's different, but it's all right.
Well, thank you.
We have a few restaurants downtown too. Yeah, just keep going. You're going to run into downtown. Blink and you've missed it. But we have a grocery store. There's a couple of real estate offices, post office.
Well, we'll check it out.
Co-op, things like that. You know what small towns do. And then if you turn on Main Street, we do have a beautiful square. Hasn't been utilized in years. We've just now started revitalizing buildings on it, and they put a Mexican restaurant up there about 8 months ago. So now we have a Mexican restaurant in town, which is kind of cool.
Well, I wish we could take something from your store, but we can't carry it, so we'll pass.
No,